Okay, so here's a pot we played again. I played against Sir Jin. Didn't know as much about him at that time as I do now. Let's see what these notes say. 3-bet blind versus steals with aces, standard. 4-bet with aces, standard. Called a raise from the blinds, the king, queen suited. Nothing wrong with that. 3-bet aces and ace, queen. Called 2 half pot or greater barrels with a draw. I mean, like, this is so subjective. This is something that I would do very frequently against very tough opponents and very infrequently against weak opponents. But I mean, without knowing the specific scenario, I couldn't give a better estimation as to whether it was good. Played a turn draw aggressively 4 times, so that's actually something that's real important that we can take into consideration. In this spot here, let's take a look at his raise first in. Raise first in from the cutoff, 13%. So when it's so 4 out of 31. So when it's so tight there, I just think that there's less value in 3-betting as a bluff, or 3-betting for value, than calling and just playing a pot in position, especially with this guy playing 42% hands in the small blind. So I did call there. He bets the flop, and I think that this is a spot where if I call, he'll bet the cards that improve me, like an ace or a queen, and if the board runs out favorably, like with a deuce or a 5 or a 7, then I can represent having a straight. So my plan here is to call and hope that either a deuce, a 5, a 7, an ace, or a queen rolls off. And an ace does roll off, and he bets 2/3 pot, which I expect him to do with all of his bluffs, and going to do with value hands too. Like if he has like pair of 10s, a pair of jacks, I expect those hands to bet here as well. Doesn't make any sense to raise here. Yeah, it's just nothing to do with the call. I want to represent, like I have pocket 7s that thinks that he's bluffing at the ace, or that's trying to like improve to a straight or hope that he checks the river and we get to showdown. So that's my strategy there, is just call and represent a weaker hand. River comes to 7 and he checks, and this is a spot where it's so difficult for me to have any bluffs in my range because of all those reasons I was stating before about like how I was trying to represent a hand like pocket 7s or pocket 5s when I called the turn. So this river card wasn't one I was thrilled to see. I would have much rather seen like a 10, like a 10 or a 9 would have been among my favorite cards, or obviously an ace or a queen would have been good too. So like I say, if you watch my videos, I say all the time, when you're in a spot where like there are very few bluffs that you can represent, and really I don't see any bluffs that I can represent here. You need to be betting small, so I think what I did is bet like 1/3 of the pot, yeah. And I could have even made an argument for going smaller, but I mean I'm giving him 4-1 on a call, so I mean I think that he's gonna have a tough time folding something like pocket jacks, or if he has an ace, I don't think he's ever folding. So and he did call with ace jack, and I don't really fault the way he played his hand. I think that he played it fine. And I don't really fault him calling my river bet since it was so small. But really, I don't really see myself having a worse hand. Potentially, I guess I could have ace 10, ace 10 suited, but that's only 4 combos, and the ace of hearts is out there, so that's really only 3 combos. And I wouldn't call ace 10 offsuit, most likely. So I mean, yeah, it's just like it's so hard for me to have a bluff there.